Hello and welcome to our daily show. I'm your host Ferdinand, and today we're going to talk about common law. Now, common law was the first law ever conceived by man. Now, laws are made by man. In early human society, everybody gets together and they generally agree that, okay, all right, this color will be the color red. This color will be the color yellow. Um, Maybe the reason why they say they come up with the color red, maybe because they wanted to, maybe they used it as a color for war. Who knows? There might be lots of tribal fighting at the time in early human society. At the time, language, color, and all those other concepts were just being developed. So it was purely for, of course, communication purposes. So if everybody was to wear the color red, perhaps at that time, I'm just giving examples here. They might have wore red at the time to symbol that everybody was not seeing eye to eye. There was going to be war. There was war. If everybody wore, I don't know, some yellow grass skirt or something like that, it was color for, I don't know, maybe it was a rainy season. If everybody wore white, it might have been the color for farming or harvest or something like that. If everybody wore green, it might have been the color for peace, peacetime. Everybody wore it on their arm, a little, I don't know, a little something, some form of attach, strung up together into a banner or something. They would wear it around their waist or put it around their head. Who knows? But anyway, the idea was simple. Color, as the same as law, the understanding that everybody has was purely for communication purposes. So law comes into its own because people wanted, everybody needs to know, everybody needs to understand where they their status in society, or a better means of communicating with each other. Everybody knows, everybody agrees that that pig over there is for Bobby. Everybody knows that that piece of land belongs to John. It's a common knowledge. It's the common understanding of the people. If you want to make this really simple, just picture a little town somewhere out in nowhere. Say the town has 100 people. People would have to get together and agree something. They'll have to agree the rules, right? So maybe they have a big bell. Whenever the bell rang once, it was everybody knew that was a new well was dug, water was found. If the bell was rang twice, everybody agrees that that was a sign that a lion was in the area. If the bell rang 3 times, everybody would agree that there was some newcomers, visitors. We have visitors if it rang 3 times. If the bell rang 4 times, everybody know that it was church time. Everybody gather little ones and everybody goes up to the whatever little huts that they made, and so on and so forth. So that's common law in a nutshell. That just sums it up right there. It's just what everybody agrees will be the rules, will be the law of that society, will be the common understanding, will be the order that things that people abide by. If you violate the law of the society, you forfeit your rights to freedom. You could forfeit your life. In some countries, if you I don't know, greet people the wrong way, if you spit in the public, it's not very welcome at all. In some places in China, I think spitting in, everybody is spitting all over the place. It's acceptable. Um, I saw that somewhere, some documentary. I might have seen that somewhere. Yeah, I think that I stand corrected anyway. But I swear I've seen that somewhere. I think they tried to cut it out at one point because it was considered impolite and not very not very good thing to do. In some countries, if you, some people would spit in the hand and shake your hand. We have a deal, and they spit in the middle of their hand, and they want to shake your hands with it. Shake on that spit. Yes, it's I think some places in America they used to do that in the old Wild West or something like that. There was lots of little customs that people abide by. It was just the rules in that kind of place, in that area. As I say, a simple example is everybody agrees that the color green is what it looks like. Red, yellow, black, and white. So everybody can communicate easily. Green is that color, red is that color, white is that, and we make up the color of the rainbows. And everybody agrees what they look like. So is that common understanding? Is that common agreement? Is that common knowledge? That is the lore of that society or that land. In the great realm of England, in this great land, it was called Britain, Roman times. Man make laws, laws don't make man, and over time we change it and we give the country a different name. England, it was called Britain at one point. So the laws change as well. We make the laws. So now it's common law, L-A-W, as opposed to common lore, L-O-R-E. Okay, so to sum it up in a nutshell, it's just the common customs of the people. It's the common doctrine. It's the common knowledge. It's the common teaching. It's the common lifestyle. It's the common attitude that people that people largely know about, and they all agree. The age of consent is 18 in this great realm of England. The age of consent is 18. In perhaps India, the age of consent might be 19. It might be 16. In France, the age of consent, everybody largely agree, is, I'm not sure, top of my head here, I should have thought it would be similar to what we have here in England. Maybe 18, maybe 60, I don't know, I'm not sure. But I should have thought it would be it would be pretty much similar to, because we're just across the channel from Napoleon and his friends, or the yeah, well, the Bonapartes. Yeah, so so that's pretty much what common law is. It's the common agreement. The society come together and agree. If the bell rang 10 times, that was the sign of war. If the bell rang 11 times, that was the sign we elect a new leader. You can imagine how many times the bell would be ringing in these days. Every year or two we have a new leader, so it would be a lot more frequent than it was back in their days. So that's the sum it up in a nutshell. Make it simple and easy to understand. It's just the common agreement of the people of that land, wherever that is. Now, common law does have other attachments to it. There are other fundamental, other values to common law or common law. Now, it was, as I say, called common law in the earliest concept of law. It was known as common law. It was the first law ever created by man. It was the common understanding in early human society. It was the understanding that they all had, that this color is green. So if you wear this color, we're going to attach something else to it. It is the color of peace. If you wear a white flag, it's the color of neutrality. Or I stand down. I don't want to carry on the war anymore. If you wore red, it was the color of war. It's that the battle is on. Let the best man win, that kind of attitude. So it's just a common knowledge, common understanding. Now, I think we have squared that up. I think we crossed the, we I think we laid plain right there. I can't see anybody not understanding after this lengthy explanation. Break it down in layman's terms, simple terms. It's just a common understanding. Now, along with the common law itself, it also encompasses three other elements to it, and these are critical to understand also. Now, if I was to say to you that piece of land belongs to Bobby, this would cover um, there's three other fundamentals to it: injury, harm, or loss. Um, that would cover pretty much everything. Um, if everybody knows that if you steal the man's pig, you have caused him loss. So that covers loss, stealing, and so forth, trespass, and so forth. Injury, you slander his name, you injure his animal, you knock his door down, you run into his car, you damage his fence, you damage his letterbox, you discredit him, you slander his name, you embarrass him because you mock him because of his name. You cause injury to the man. You can't injure the man himself or the woman, but you can injure his name. You can injure his person. His person is his fictional representative. Whatever he represents the man, his name, his finger, his thumbprint, his retina scan, whatever that belongs to the man, that can identify with the man, is his person. So if you picture a zebra in your mind, we all agree that the zebra is black and white stripes, has black and white stripes. The black and if a child comes to you, if your kid come to you and say, "Mommy or Daddy, this is a zebra," you perhaps would agree with the kid. However, the problem with that is that's not really the zebra. So the zebra is a living animal. What you have in your hands there, that piece of paper with some ink on it, with a black and white, some black and white ink on it, what we agree is black and white ink. That black and white stripe is just the representative of the zebra. That is not the zebra. The zebra is a living animal. So what you have is the representative of the animal, and so we all agree that that is the zebra's person. That's not the zebra. The zebra is the animal, and the person is the fictional entity. So pretty much that's what it is. Your person is what represents, or what represents you in the fictional world, the non-living. The non-living cannot represent the dead. It's the living that has to represent the non-living, because then the dead has no face. It's the living that attaches himself to a person, whatever that fictional entity is. Okay, so injury, you could injure somebody's name, you could injure their person, you could misuse their information, you could misuse or abuse their signature, their thumbprint, their fingerprint, their retina scan. Their identity could be smeared because of some wicked lies you tell, or some evil that you want to perform against the man or the woman. So that's injury and loss. Now, harm, you can bring harm to your fellow man. You can strike him with a bat, you can poke him in the eyes, you can knock his teeth out, you can run a car into his leg, you can knock him over, you can poison him, you can stick him with a knife, and etc. You can goes on and on and on. You can injure, you can cause harm to a living person, a man or a woman, but you cannot cause injury. Injury can only happen to his person. Okay, so that's the difference between injury and harm. I have categorized it there. Injury only happens to the fictional entity, that which represents the man, his name, his fingerprint, his retina scan, his identity. You can steal it and abuse it, etc., etc. You can harm the man by knock him over, poke him in the eye, etc., etc. You can cause him loss by stealing his pig and so on, and maybe take away his car. He can't go to work, he loses income, etc., etc. Then you would have to summons you to appear to explain yourself, and then you would have to pay just compensation, compensating him for his losses. So that covers injury or loss as well. Okay, so law and law is one of the same thing. It's just that law came earlier. Law was the first concept man had when it comes to the idea that people should abide by some kind of rules, and that rules had encompassed everything: injury, harm, or loss. Okay, now let's go through the advantages and disadvantages of the law and its opposite, its nemesis, civil law, admiralty law, laws of equity, and so on. Those are actually the opposite of common law. Now, common law will protect a man's right whether he knows it or not. Everybody knows that that land belongs to Bobby or Bobby's father, and then nobody trespass. Everybody knows that that pig belongs to Shirley, and nobody touches Shirley pig, whether Shirley is insane or not, whether Shirley realizes it's his pig or not, because she's gone mad or what. Everybody knows, and nobody dares take Shirley's pig. Now, in civil law, what you don't know, you don't lose. Okay, if you don't know your right, you lose it. That is the difference between common law and civil law. Civil law, laws of equity, admiralty law, and all the other laws, statutory laws, and you name all the other ones they come out with. Those laws disenfranchise the common man. The common man needs common law, common language, common everything. Anything else is a disadvantage to the common man, because if he doesn't know that paycheck belongs to him, somebody will take it and they'll go home and sleep, and they will not have any conscience about it, because they say what you don't know don't hurt you. You didn't know it was yours and you lose it, so what? So that is kind of the attitude when it comes to civil law. Okay, now the disadvantage with common law is that if somebody comes to your door and that person threatens to kill you, now he comes to your door and now you got a dispute, and he comes to your door and say, well, so what are you going to do? I'm waiting for you to come out. You cannot, if it's your land, if he trespass, look, if he comes at your door, say it's a communal setting. It's not like like it's your land, it's your door. Say you live on an estate or something like that, and the doors, everybody's doors next to everybody's door. Your neighbor and you have a dispute, and he comes out to your door and he says, "Well, I'm waiting for you, fam. I'm waiting for you. Whatever their attitude's gonna be towards you." You can't, even if you call the police is not going to do anything, because in law, it's injury, harm, or loss. Has he done anything to you? Well, it's a free world. I mean, it's public, right? He's standing outside. He's not inside your house. You can't exactly move him. If he stands outside your gate on the main road waiting for you, just standing there, and he says that if you come out, he's going to do you in. He's waiting for you out there because you had that heated conversation on the phone. You know why he's standing there. But he hasn't done anything to you. So when you call up the police and you say, look, there's a man outside and I think he's going to try to do something to me, the police is not going to do anything. Because the first question is he done anything to you yet? No, he hasn't done anything to you yet. Well, we can't do anything about it. The man hasn't committed a crime. Your attitude to him will, are you waiting for him to kill me? Are you waiting for him to commit a crime before you come and pick up my carcass and feed it to the poor? Something like that. You might be angry and you might say something like that. That's the disadvantage with common law. It's that you have to have done something. If you haven't done anything wrong, you have nothing to answer to. That's the beauty of it also. Why should I pay for something I did not do? But I hadn't done anything to him. Why should I move? Oh, I haven't done anything to him. Why should I pay? Now, in civil law, the law we have today, the law that most things goes by today, if you call the police and they give you a number, you could get a kind of injunction against him. He can't come within 10 square miles of where you live, and so on and so forth. If he comes within 10 square miles, they lock him up, and so on and so forth. So in civil law, there's little advantage where you can get rid of somebody from your gate or your door or even your city or your community, although he hasn't done anything wrong. He hadn't done anything wrong, but you can still get rid of him. In common law, you can't get rid of him because he hasn't done anything. Now, most people are quite fragile and they get weak at the knees when they end up in any little form of scuffle. And so for them, it would be a delight to know that you get rid of that cantankerous old fool that wants to fight every day. You know, a man that looks like he will do something. You'd be delighted to get rid of him from your door or from your city, especially in the case of females. They claim that this man is stalking me, and they go and report him, and before you know it, the man can't come in 20 square miles of the city. Much delight for the woman, but for that man that may or may not be stalking, he might be rather upset. He will be thinking, well, I haven't done anything wrong. Why am I not allowed? Well, I haven't done anything wrong. So that is my point. My point that the disadvantage with common law is that you couldn't get rid of him, and he might be a cantankerous old fool. Some crazy fellow will do something stupid. In civil law, largely the law we have today, you can get rid of him with injunctions and so on, and you go to court and and he has to explain why he stood at your door for 2 days. So that's kind of the advantages and disadvantages of both of them. Of course, it's largely injury, loss, or harm. If you haven't done anything wrong, if you don't bring harm to your fellow man, if you haven't caused any man any losses, and so forth, if you haven't slandered his name, commit perjury, slander, so on and so forth, you have nothing to answer to. So that's the beauty of both of them. One protects you fully, but to the point, in common law, to the point where you can't get rid of him if you so choose, because you find him cantankerous and annoying. You are threatening. You can't get rid of him because he hasn't killed you yet. Or he hasn't done anything to you yet. The other civil law is that you really don't have any rights, and you don't have it to the point where you don't have to do anything wrong and they'll still get rid of you. And you haven't done anything wrong. So that is the difference between the two. One, you really have no rights at all. You could say civil law will protect you because you have a right to a peaceful life. However, what about the man that hasn't done anything wrong? And you still manage to get rid of him within 20 square miles of the city. He can't, they're not coming to the city because somebody say he can't do it. He hasn't done anything wrong. Bear that in mind. But, they get an injunction against him and they say he was a stalker because he was walking twice behind a woman and she caught him walking behind her twice and she said, look, I think he's following me. Get rid of him. Now, that's kind of shaky grounds to get rid of somebody, but that's generally how it works in civil law. Much to the delight of lots of people. They're like, good riddance. Thank God we get rid of him. But the poor chappie may have stalked, may not have stalked. Who knows what was his real intention. I don't know. He may be rather upset that he hadn't done anything wrong and yet they get rid of him. So that's the difference between both laws. One will fully protect you to the point where you can have the audacity to stand at somebody's gate for 10 years if you want and never have to move. And the other one is that you dare not conjure up any form of audacity in your mind. You dare not think about going back to that city because we say so. It's a bit like that. Now, in civil law, the problem is that you really have very limited rights. And if you, well, you have rights, but you'd have to evoke the common law in order to retain your rights and your property. If you cannot evoke the common law, you will certainly lose your rights and your property. So in civil law, if you don't know your rights, you lose it. And as the old saying goes, you cannot be ignorant and free at the same time. You're either ignorant and stupid and don't know your rights and lose all your property and your rights, or you know all your rights and you fight to keep it alive by evoking your common law rights all the time. You remind them, look, this is my right, no consent to contract, no thank you, take it back, I do not want to know. Please, sir, get out my way. You're trespassing. If you don't move, I'll summons you to appear and you gotta explain yourself. If you trespass or done me wrong, the wrongdoer will have to pay just compensation. So, if you don't know your rights, you will not be able to evoke the law in your defense and get rid of the wrongdoer. In civil law, if you don't know it, the judge will happily move on, bang you up into jail, knowing full well you had done nothing to be there. And take, for instance, a ticket fine. Within 2 or 3 months, you can find yourself in jail, losing your car, possibly locking up within 4 months. You could find yourself in jail just because you drove in the bus lane. Now you'd be sitting in a cell and thinking, how did I get here? How did this happen? How was it that I'm going about my business, going to work, going to pick up my kid from school, and I'm in prison because of that? For that simple act of traveling, going from point A to point B, you could find yourself banged up in a cage somewhere and you have no idea how you get there. That is civil law, because you really have no rights. And although they know you have done nothing to be in jail, they'll still put you there because you just don't know. You don't have to be there. And because you didn't say it, well, he didn't say anything. Silence is guilt. Bang him up. That kind of attitude. So for me, civil law is a dangerous law. It does not protect the man or the woman at all. It will strip you of your rights and your property in a minute. If you don't know your rights, you'll lose it along with your property. Okay? So, on the other hand, I want to be fair here. On the other hand, in civil law, as I say, you can have somebody removed from your door and from the whole city if you find him to be a nuisance, and if you find him to be threatening, and if you find him to be dangerous. You could have him removed from that, despite he hadn't done anything wrong. But the power of common law is that you really have no rights. So you could, get rid of somebody although he hadn't done anything wrong. So that's kind of the beauty about it, civil law as well, and it's kind of the kind of disadvantage in a way because he hadn't done anything wrong. So that sums it up in a nutshell right there. So I hope I could clear up the difference between common law. Common law is one of the same, just that one came earlier. One was the earliest concept of man's law created by man, common law. And the other one, law, came much later. It was changed to law to make it a little bit more ambiguous. The less uncertain side of it. For instance, as I say, the side that you could have somebody removed from the city. It is a bit more ambiguous. It is not exactly clear cut. I suspect that that's why they changed it from law to law. I can't imagine that it's for the sake of simplicity. Law, L-A-W and L-O-R-E, couple, one or two letters less. I don't believe it's one letter less. I don't believe it's for simplicity why they change it. I suspect they have ulterior motive. Maybe by saying the word law, you evoke, you kind of get memories of old times when it was one firm entity that protects, attitude that protects your rights and property. If they change the name of it, then you tend to lose the identity of the word itself and the meaning of the word. You tend to lose the substance. You tend to lose the gravity and the meaning of something. If you keep throwing mud and throwing more mud at it, some mud will stick. So you keep saying something over and over again, it becomes true. If you keep changing the name of something again and again, you depreciate it over time, the quality, the substance of it. Okay, so I hope I was able to clear it up and make it very simple. So just to recap quickly again, because I want everybody to kind of get it fully. Common law was the first law concept of man. Man make law, law don't make man. And it was the first idea of a structured society where everybody gets together and say we agree that this is how things ought to be. Okay, and that is how that came about. Okay, we all agree that this color is green, this color is red, and what they are generally used for, the meaning of these. 3 bells, a new well was dug. 4 bells, a new leader. 15 bells, somebody head is on a platter, handing it to the king. Okay, so it's a bit like that. Okay, so I hope I was able to clear that up. Now I want to give a big thank you for everybody who participated in the program. You know, as I say before, learning common law is the key to your freedom. Only we ourselves can free our mind. A famous singer once said, he said, none but ourselves can free our mind. So I want to thank everybody for learning common law and participating on the program. I want to thank you all that donate to our cause, this great cause. Our support is free. If you need any help, just drop me a text, send me an email, commonlawsolution dot at gmail.com. Okay, so the website again, the website is www.commonlawsolution.org. Okay, and the email address is commonlawsolution at gmail.com, and the telephone number is 0757-7462-704. You can get me on a number, you can send me a text, send me an email. We will hear your conversation will be heard, your voice messages and WhatsApp will be broadcast, will be uploaded and broadcast to the public, so your voice will be heard. We encourage you to do that. Send us a voicemail, ask us a question. Of course, we will answer your question. We will upload all your comments. We will upload all your emails and make sure that all your questions are answered. So I hope I was able to clear this all up today, make it clear today what common law is and the difference between law and civil law, the advantages and disadvantages they provide. So I want to thank you all, and I'll see you in the next video, and God bless you.